And streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the man accused in the death of 4 Idaho college students is scheduled to appear in court today. We have the details on the arraignment and how he's expected to plead. And President Biden met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Sunday at the G7 summit in Japan. Here, the president's latest pledge to the war-torn country. Plus, a historic space mission launched from the Kennedy Space Center Sunday evening. We have more on the launch straight ahead.
It should be mostly bright and sunny like it is right there for the rest of the week, but we may see some rain. Hear about that and more in the full forecast.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Carolina Astrain.
And I'm Adarius McCormick. Today is the 22nd day of May 2023.
And the time is now 6:31 on your Monday morning. And today it's National Maritime Day, which is actually something related to the ocean, but with a military kind of, I guess, relation or military kind of aspect tied to it. But we were just talking about a maritime movie.
Yes.
That's going to be making a splash this weekend, The Little Mermaid.
One of my favorite princesses.
Oh, the best princess. Sorry, Belle, but but it's going to be an amazing historic time.
Well, I can't wait to go see it. I know I'm going to see it opening night. I am.
Opening it on Thursday?
Yes,
oh
I am.
My
I plan on it.
I'm going to have to wait for that that matinee. All right, Adarius, how is it looking out there? Is it a good time to be out on the water?
I would say it is. Right now we're looking at 70 degrees, but we're getting up to 80 today, and it's going to be pretty calm wind. So yeah, I would say it's a great day to go swimming like the mermaid. Right now, looking at our satellite radar, right now we're looking at some clouds, not too many, it's nothing crazy. It's going to be mostly clear today. 7 a.m., 70 degrees for early this morning, and getting into noon, we'll get to 81, and it's going to keep warming up as we get later in the afternoon. Getting to 4 p.m., it's 85, and with a high of maybe 89 to 90 degrees. And now we're looking at our school bus forecast. Kids dress light. Make sure your parents do not put you in a jacket because you will pass out, because it's getting up to 84 degrees today when you get off that bus. I'm not on the bus anymore. I'm done with that. But once you get off that bus, it'll be pretty warm, getting up to 84 degrees. And now we're taking a look at a marine forecast. Like we just said, today is a good day to be on the water because it's pretty warm. The water temperature is 81 degrees. And the winds northeast 5 to 10 knots is pretty smooth bays. Seas 1 foot or less. High tide 6:31 p.m. and low tide 8:13 a.m. So if you want to go fishing today, I think this week would be a good week to do it. Carolina, I'm sending it back to you.
Thank you, Adarius. A convicted killer has died by suicide. Authorities say inmate 22-year-old Daniel Mendoza was found unresponsive in his cell on May 11th. Life-saving measures were attempted on Mendoza but were unsuccessful. Mendoza was serving a life sentence for the 2019 murder of 19-year-old Nathan Cortinas in Goliad County. He was also serving a 20-year sentence for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, also out of Goliad County. In June of 2019, Cortinas was found shot dead in a car parked outside of a home. 18-year-old Brianna Bexley was also shot and transported to a San Antonio hospital in critical condition. An infant baby boy who was in the back seat of the car at the time of the shooting was not hurt. Authorities say Cortinas was shot 7 times. It took a jury less than 15 minutes to find Mendoza guilty on charges. Mendoza was 18 years old at the time of the double shooting. About 11 undocumented immigrants bailed out of a vehicle after a chase with authorities Saturday night. It is believed 8 to 9 of the undocumented immigrants are still at large this morning. The chase happened after an attempted traffic stop initiated by the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. It began with the suspect's vehicle, a gray Ford F-150 truck, exiting into Edna and heading north on FM 822. The pursuit continued north until the vehicle turned west on County Road 112. The vehicle then tried to lose the deputy by ramming through a gate and driving into a pasture, and that's when the bailout occurred. 2 of the undocumented immigrants were apprehended, but again, 8 to 9 of them remain at large. The migrants apprehended were turned over to Border Patrol. Law enforcement says they will continue to monitor the area for suspicious activity. New this morning in Victoria, we're monitoring the arrest of an accused stalker. The suspect, 65-year-old Wood Brown, is accused of stalking a woman several times since last Friday. No further details are released at this time. Tune in to 25 News Now tonight at 5, 6, and 10 for more as we continue to follow this story. Today, for the first time since January, we'll see the man accused of killing 4 Idaho College students appear in court. He's expected to face a judge with the victims' family members looking on.
Morning, 28-year-old Brian Kohberger, the man suspected of killing 4 University of Idaho students last November, is set to be arraigned after a grand jury last week indicted him on charges related to the murders of Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Madison Mogan. Kohberger is expected to plead not guilty to 4 charges of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary.
Right now, although we seem to have mounting evidence against Mr. Kohberger, it's still anyone's game because there's a lot of information that the defense is going to hold and not release to the public.
Authorities say Kohberger orchestrated and carried out the attack, then returned to work pursuing his Ph.D. in criminology before making a cross-country trip home to Pennsylvania with his father. Kohberger was pulled over twice along the way.
Okay.
After a month-long investigation, Kohberger was arrested. Investigators saying they matched his DNA to that found on a leather knife sheath found at the crime scene.
We have a search warrant for the building.
Authorities searched his apartment in Pullman, Washington, less than 10 miles from the murder scene. Prosecutors amassing more than 20,000 pieces of evidence, including a pillow and mattress cover they say tested presumptive positive for blood. The big mystery that remains, the motive. We could hear more on that today. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
If Kohberger does enter a not guilty plea, the court will schedule his trial. If convicted, he could face the death penalty. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Biden met in Japan Sunday at the G7 summit. President Biden pledged continued support for Ukraine as the war against Russia continues. He also announced new military aid for Ukraine, saying the U.S. would provide ammunition and armored vehicles. President Zelensky thanked President Biden for the support. On his last day in Japan, President Biden held a press conference in Hiroshima. The president opened his press conference by talking about the debt ceiling, saying that Republicans in the U.S. House must move off their extreme positions on talks over America's debt limit and that there would be no agreement to avert a catastrophic default only on their terms. The president said he had done his part in trying to raise the debt ceiling so the government could keep paying its bills, agreeing to cut spending. He also spoke about U.S.-China relations, saying that they are set to improve very shortly. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched from the Kennedy Space Center at 5:37 p.m. Sunday from Launch Pad 39A, kicking off Houston-based company Axiom Space's 4-person Ax-2 mission. Aboard the Ax-2 Dragon spacecraft, named Freedom, the first woman ever to command a private space flight. It's a 10-day mission to the International Space Station, and Freedom will dock at the International Space Station around 9:24 a.m. Eastern Time today. During the mission, crew members will live and work alongside 7 astronauts currently on board the ISS, but they will be conducting independent research. The time is now just about 6:39 on your Monday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. At least 10 people were killed and several others hurt during a shooting at a car rally in Mexico on Saturday.
Another day and no debt deal as the deadline inches closer. I'm Lindsay Watts in Washington. Coming up, where things stand this morning.
It's getting pretty warm this week, up to about 89 to 90 degrees. Hear about that in the full forecast later. Welcome back. We are taking a look at our current wind speeds. It's pretty warm today, but we're not seeing much wind, so that's not helping at all. It's pretty calm throughout the area and only getting up to 8 miles in Palacios and Rockport, so that's not much at all. Looking at our current temperatures around the state, looking at 70 in our area, 70 in Houston, 65 in San Antonio, so it's pretty much the same throughout the state. It's getting pretty low in Wichita and pretty high in Corpus Christi, but throughout the day, we might be in the same region. Right now, we're looking at 60s, 70s, but getting up into the afternoon, we're going to see high 80s, 86, 85, 87 in Beeville, looking at 82 to 78, like mid 70s, low 80s later on tonight, but going into tomorrow, it's getting up to 90 degrees. So make sure you dress really light because it's going to be really hot. Carolina, sending it back to you.
Thank you, Adarius. Debt ceiling negotiations are becoming more dire this morning. There's still no deal, even though Speaker Kevin McCarthy said one was needed by now to give Congress time to act before an unprecedented default.
Overnight, President Biden landed back in Washington after cutting his trip to Asia short. Debt ceiling negotiations stretching into the 11th hour. Biden spoke to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy by phone yesterday. McCarthy also staying positive.
I believe it was a productive phone call.
But bottom line, there's still no deal. Biden and McCarthy are set to meet this afternoon without the other congressional leaders. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen reiterating this weekend she believes June 1st is the hard deadline for a default if there's no deal.
There will be hard choices if that doesn't occur.
Without that deal preventing default, borrowing costs could soar and global markets tumble. Millions of Americans may not get payments like Medicare and Social Security. The two sides are still clashing on a way forward. Republicans want to roll back spending to last year's level, while the White House is proposing a more than 9% increase for next year's budget. Other sticking points, unspent COVID relief funds, and a proposal by Republicans to tighten work requirements for beneficiaries of federal aid programs. The Biden administration says millions of people could lose coverage.
It's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms. They have to move as well.
I've been very clear to them from the very beginning. We have to spend less money than we spent last year.
Speaker McCarthy said last week that a deal was needed by the weekend to get a bill through Congress in time. He's now, though, conceding that it is still possible to pass legislation before a default. Lindsay Watts, ABC News, Washington.
Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis interviewed Daniel Brown with the National Hurricane Center as we approach hurricane season. Here's an excerpt from the interview where Brown talks about Hurricane Harvey.
It was essentially a real complex storm. And I think we have to think about that when we think about tropical storms and hurricanes. It not only brought the wind and storm surge to areas around Corpus Christi, but then it slowed down and brought that heavy rainfall to places like Houston, Beaumont. And so it just shows that each hurricane is different and that we have to really consider all those hazards separately. There may be different things that you do to protect yourself from wind versus water. And when we talk about storm surge, we really want you, if you live near the coast in a storm surge evacuation zone, to move away from that area. But if you live in a well-built home that's not at risk for storm surge, you might be able to stay and protect yourself in that.
You can watch the full interview on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, and join us June 5th for Storm Prep 2023 at 6:30 p.m. on KAVU TV. That leads us to your viewer poll. Would you evacuate ahead of a storm? Okay, let's take a look. 50% of you say yes, and the rest of you say no. We want to keep hearing from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. You can also scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. The time is now 6:45 on your Monday morning. Still to come, the pilot of a small plane died after crashing at an airport Sunday afternoon. All right, time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Tommy, me, and Mommy. Hope you have a blessed birthday. I love you, Daddy. You're the best daddy ever. Happy birthday. Love, your daughter, Faith.
And happy birthday to Alea. Happy 11th birthday and have a wonderful day. Love, Mom, Gilbert and Caleb, Popo, and Peaches.
And get ready to walk the runway. Happy birthday to model superstar Naomi Campbell. She is 53.
Happy second birthday, Callie. We love you and hope you have a wonderful day.
And happy birthday to Steve. Happy big 70.
To see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now on Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com. Click on more, and under home, you'll see KVU Submit Your Birthday.
Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today. The time is now 6:46 on your Monday morning. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're going to take a look at our future tracker. Right now we're looking at Monday at 4 p.m. It's pretty warm, pretty dry. That's going to be throughout the week. But we see some moisture right here in this area. That won't last at all. Probably some stray showers around the area, nothing too bad. And it probably won't last long at all. Looking at 11, it's gone. It didn't last at all. And then we're taking a look at Tuesday morning. It's still fairly dry, nothing going on. Same thing will continue throughout Tuesday until we get to Wednesday morning. We see some clouds and a little moisture, but like I said, that probably won't last at all, and it probably will not impact us at all. And now we're taking a look at our today's forecast. 82 degrees, mostly sunny, clear. It's going to stay clear throughout the night, getting down to 69 degrees. And then taking a look at tomorrow, it's going to warm up. It's going to be hot, mostly sunny, and light winds, so dress light and be prepared. Hear the full forecast later. Back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Darius. At least 10 people were killed and several others hurt during a shooting at a car rally in Mexico Saturday. It happened just after 2 p.m. in Baja. 73 miles from the U.S. border. On the last day of a two-day all-terrain car rally, multiple shooters wielding rifles emerged from at least two gray vans at a gas station and opened fire on participants who were gathered there. Following the barrage of gunshots, the suspects got back in the vans and fled the scene. 10 people were killed and at least 9 were hurt. The car rally was organized by a group calling itself Kagachan Nilazo, which posted a message to Instagram expressing sympathy to those affected by the tragedy, saying that what happened during the tour was not in their hands. So far, no reports of any arrest. A massive fire broke out at Manila's historical Central Post Office late Sunday. Teams of firefighters worked through the night for more than 7 hours to bring the blaze under control, but not before it charred the upper levels of the structure as well as the roof. The post office was first built in 1926 before being severely damaged during the Second World War and rebuilt 20 years later. Still to come on Sunrise News to Know Before You Go. 2 people killed and another hurt during a shooting outside a bar in Washington early Sunday morning. For today's question of the day, on this day back in 1906, the Wright brothers were issued a patent for this. What is it? Okay, Darius, let's take a look at our guesses this morning. So Beth is saying the airplane, Mary Helen says the flying machine, Leticia says flying machine, and Orlo says ice cream machine. All right, Darius, the moment we've all been waiting for, what's the answer?
The answer is the flying machine, which is the first airplane. So they were pretty much all on the same, they were pretty much right, I would say, except for one person. But I would say the ice cream machine would be great for this week. This week's weather is pretty warm, so hey, if you want to fly or eat ice cream, pretty much down with that.
Well, we'll take a look at our forecast later in the show. Thank you, Darius. The pilot of a small plane died after crashing at a Palm City airport Sunday afternoon. Authorities say the single-engine plane crashed From a small airport, while taking off from a small airport in Palm City for community residents, a Good Samaritan sustained burns while trying to pull the 70-year-old pilot out of the plane. At least 5 others tried to pull the pilot from the plane as well, but they were not successful due to the intense flames. Roads near the scene were temporarily blocked off so that first responders could gain access. The pilot was later pronounced dead at the scene. The crash is under investigation. 2 people were killed and another hurt during a shooting outside a bar in Washington early Sunday morning. Officers responded to the Stars Bar and Grill around 3:30 a.m. for reports of a shooting. They found 3 people with gunshot wounds. 2 of the victims were pronounced dead at the scene. They were women in their 30s and employees at the bar. The third victim is a 25-year-old man who was a patron. He was taken to a local hospital. His condition is unknown at this time. Authorities believe the victims were shot in the parking lot as they were leaving the bar. They say the shooting came after an earlier dispute with another man at the bar. The suspect has not been located. The incident is under investigation. An innocent bystander was shot during a dispute outside of the South Holland, Illinois Community Center Sunday. Around 1 p.m., a dispute erupted between 2 individuals in the parking lot of a community center. That reported in a social media post by the Village of South Holland. Authorities say a bystander was struck by gunfire and taken to an area hospital in a stable condition. The Illinois State Police were called in to process the scene for evidence. Limited suspect information is provided at this time. However, the shooting is under investigation. Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to call the South Holland Police Department. Migrants seeking asylum continue to arrive in New York City. The Roosevelt Hotel was one of the places that transformed into a stopping ground for asylum seekers. Buses continue to arrive at the hotel, dropping off some and picking up others to transport them to other locations. More than 70,000 migrants arrived in New York City, 42,000 of them accommodated so far. New York City Mayor Eric Adams urging the federal government to step up in directing where migrants are moved throughout the U.S. Victoria County Commissioners meet today at 10 a.m. at the Victoria County Courthouse. Here are some items from the agenda. The commissioners will receive for the record the appraisal report for the Victoria Public Library building. And up for consideration this morning is the approval of a professional services agreement with Elite Engineering in connection to the Guadalupe campus. If you cannot attend Commissioners Court today in person, the meeting will be available via Zoom. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and on your cell phone. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. And we do have time for a final check of our forecast with Adarius. Adarius, as the premiere of The Little Mermaid approaches, are we looking like some friendly beach weather? Maybe we want to do some mermaid-inspired photo shoots.
Very much so. Very beach weather. It's pretty warm, mostly sunny around the area. We got 88 Monday, 89 Tuesday, 87 Wednesday. So it's going to be mostly sunny and in the high 80s around that time. But when we get to Thursday, we'll see some rain. There's scattered thunderstorms around the area, but that will pass through throughout Thursday night. So we might not see any of that going into Friday, but we will still see those clouds Friday, Saturday, and the sun will be back Sunday. We're getting up to 89 to 90 degrees Sunday with lows of 70s, but that's throughout the night. So it's pretty much beachy weather, a warm week.
Beachy weather. I believe the Memorial Weekend celebration is also right around the corner for us here in the Crossroads. And we have so much to look forward to this summer as well. The Bach Festival, Juneteenth.
Yes.
Right around the corner. I'm doing an interview today with a Juneteenth celebration Port Lavaca community member that's organizing all of that. So we'll learn more about all of that in our continued newscast, and we'll have more for you tonight on 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Don't forget to make it a great Monday.